President Biden backing Major League Baseball moving its All-Star game out of Georgia.
Decides to move their All-Star game out of Atlanta because of this political issue.
As Atlanta-based companies Coca-Cola and Delta speak out against Georgia's controversial new voting laws, Coca-Cola's CEO now saying, "I want to be crystal clear, the Coca-Cola company does not support this legislation as it makes it harder for people to vote, not easier." And Delta CEO with, "I need to make it crystal clear that the final bill is unacceptable and does not match Delta's values." Georgia Governor Brian Kemp joins us now. We've been talking about this bill, Governor, because when Gabe Sterling was on yesterday, he was making it crystal clear that the myths about this bill are not true. And I have to ask, how did your office let this spiral so out of control that this misperception has been allowed to persist?
Well, Dana, thanks for having me on, and I hope you won't blame our office for playing into the narrative that the mainstream media is doing, because a lot of political activists, one of them my former opponent, and when the President of the United States said something, you know, a lot of people pay attention. But what Joe Biden needs to do is look at the side-by-side of Georgia and Delaware. You know, he's focused on trying to get Major League Baseball to pull the game out of Georgia, which is ridiculous. If you look at these comparisons, the state of Delaware has no in-person early voting. We have 17 days. In Georgia, you don't have to have an excuse to get an absentee ballot by mail. In Delaware, you do. We have drop boxes. Delaware does not. And if you want to get a bottle of water while you're standing in line in Georgia, you can absolutely do that. The elections officials can help you with that. But you can't do that in Delaware because they don't have early voting.
I mean, I agree with all of that, and we've been defending the bill based on even like the Washington Post, the fact check, giving Joe Biden 4 Pinocchios. But knowing that your political opponent, I think you're talking about Stacey Abrams, knowing that she was going to be very critical and knowing that the media is not going to give you a break, what I'm wondering is why not give some air cover to the companies that are based in your state so that they all of a sudden now they've caved to the Twitter mob and they're saying now they don't support the legislation. I don't see how you could change the legislation to get them back on board.
Well, they're not going to get back on board because they've been pressured by their board of directors, who's been pressured by these activists. And, you know, there's nothing I can do about that. I've been my own CEO, Dana, for over 35 years. I've been signing my own paychecks and those of many others for a long time. And I'm not going to be bullied by these people, but I'm also not running a public corporation. I mean, they'll have to answer to their shareholders. There's a lot of people that work for them and that have done business with them that are very upset, and I'll let them deal with that. But if you really look at what we've done to perfect the bill that I actually signed, we worked with a lot of these corporations, including Delta, who never raised any of these issues until 2 or 3 days after the first statement that they made. And then if you look at what others are saying today, statements, you know, they're not focused on the specifics of the bill. They're focused on making sure that we have good processes, whether it's in Georgia or any other state in the country. And that's why I would encourage people to continue to read and understand what the truth is, like Mr. Sterling says. I mean, I've done over 20 interviews in the last 24, 36 hours pushing the truth out. We are not going to back down when we have a bill that expands the opportunity for people to vote on the weekends in Georgia. We have as many early voting days as anybody in the country. Yep. We've got no excuse absentee. You know, we're adding drop boxes to counties that didn't have them last time, where that's never been in the law before. But we also want to make sure the election's secure and that all Georgians have confidence in it. So I'm continuing to go out. I just interview with a African-American morning radio show and podcast explaining the truth about the bill, and it was refreshing, quite honestly.
Yeah, it seems like you're going to have to do a lot of that. 2 points here. First, the clip from ESPN with President Biden. Roll this, and we'll get your reaction on it. Watch.
What do you think about the possibility that baseball decides to move their All-Star game out of Atlanta because of this political issue?
I would strongly support them doing that. It's just not right. This is Jim Crow on steroids, what they're doing in Georgia and 40 other states. What it's all about.
Jim Crow on steroids, Governor. Your response.
Hey, my response is this. You compare, you know, you guys put this up on the screen, compare Delaware to Georgia. See who has more opportunities for people to vote, for people of color to vote. We had the largest African-American turnout in the 2018 November election when I got elected. You know, Joe Biden needs to focus on things that he can control, like the southern border. And that's all this is. It's a distraction. They're using it to pass an unconstitutional mandate in H.R. 1. It's all part of a political narrative that they're pushing, and we're going to continue to fight that.
Okay, Stacey Abrams, no more Jim Crow, fight voter suppression laws, don't let America go backward. The Washington Post is doing a lot of your work for you. This is what they
thank the Lord. I mean,
listen,
actually...
sorry, the question is, 4 Pinocchios for what President Biden said about it last week at his press conference. The law did make some changes to early voting. I'm reading from their piece now. But experts say the net effect was to expand the opportunities to vote for most Georgians, not limit them. The most populous county, Fulton County, where you are in Atlanta. Under the new law, Fulton County could set the exact same hours for in-person early voting or expand them from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day. I know what your message is now. How do you break through? Because Delta Airlines and Home Depot and Coca-Cola are all lining up against you now.
Bill, that's not correct. I don't think Home Depot's lining up against us. If you look at the statement that I saw this morning, I thought it was very fair. It wasn't pointing at any specifics. And look, I said yesterday, if Ed Bastian, if Mr. Quincy, if the guys from New York and New Jersey who were pointing fingers at us yesterday want to have a discussion about what's actually in this bill versus what's in states like New York, where you need an excuse to vote absentee, or in New Jersey, where they're celebrating 9 days of early voting. It's the first time ever they've had it. We have 17 days, and we've been doing this for, gosh, I think over a decade now. So these CEOs ought to be smart enough, and the president ought to be smart enough as well, or certainly his people that are briefing him, to tell him what's actually in the bill. Because when he made his comments earlier, he didn't know. But it also could be that he doesn't care, because he's trying to distract from the border crisis that he has, where smugglers are dropping young children over, 15-foot high walls, and trying to push an unconstitutional mandate in H.R. 1. And I will tell you, I think the people are standing up and realizing the games that are being played here, and they're going to be fighting back with us.
Let me be clear. You're right. It's not Home Depot, but it is Coca-Cola and it is Delta Airlines, and they're both big employers, as you know, in your home state. Dana?
I just would thank you for coming on. And I just wonder if you've heard from other governors about having to deal with this in their own states. This is not just happening in Georgia. Other states are trying to pass legislation right now.
Well, my advice to other governors would be to do like we've done. Make it easy to vote and hard to cheat. Have secure, accessible, fair elections. That's what we've done.
Governor, thank you for your time. Brian Kemp from Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you, sir, for coming on.